Hey everybody, here we are. It's JC and RL with Brown Mint Horror, and oh my God, we were so excited today. We are here with Sandi, who is the manager and operator of the Last Blockbuster video in America, located in Bend, Oregon. Sandi, give us a shout. How you doing?
Doing good, thank you. You take my mask down so you can actually probably hear me a little better.
And there she is, live and in color, folks.
I
Sandi from the
know.
Last Blockbuster, a fantastic documentary that's on
Yes.
Netflix as of right now. It's getting all kinds of great reviews. It has definitely sparked a resurgence in the rental community and this cult following of how great Blockbuster was and still is to this day, that you're keeping it alive. Sandi, I mean, you've probably done countless interviews at this point, obviously.
A few.
Here we are, a couple of Joes from Nashville, Tennessee. We're super excited. We're big horror buffs. We grew up going into rental stores weekend and weekend out. Tell us, what is it like right now as far as from the documentary till now? What has rental life been like?
Well, it's a little bit of happy chaos going on right now, as you can see that I'm in my car because we have this huge surge of online orders. We're very proud of the fact that all of our merchandise is brought to us from right here and other small businesses in Bend. So all of our t-shirts are, printed by a father and son. And, so we're really proud of that. But with spring break and the movie hitting Netflix at the same time has pretty much wiped us out. And so we're pretty busy. But no, it's a good chaos. Things are great. The best case scenario from all of the media attention, everything, is to get people back in renting the store, because when wonderful people like you stop calling to do interviews, we still have to have renters to keep us going. So that's the one that we've seen a ton of families coming back in. It's pretty great to watch, little kids walking around the store with their parents explaining why, in the 90s, we used to go to the video store before they were even married and, thought of having children. Here they are, revisiting all that. So it's pretty exciting, pretty fun. I can tell you that I'm admiring all the movies behind you. I see Ghost of Mr. Chicken back there and Halloween.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty excited about the horror movie thing. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Everybody knows that come into my office and 90% of the time I'm watching The Shining on VHS.
There we go.
So no, I'm pretty excited about this too.
Well, Sandi, first and foremost, thank you so much. We're so thankful that you agreed to, sit down and have a chat with us. If we could, we've heard so much of your story through the documentary. If we could just share we haven't had the chance to share kind of like our rental experience and really how it matters, and like how there's something to be said about going into a physical location, looking at titles, committing, and being like, hey, look, I bought this, I rented it, even if this is crap, I'm getting through it. Like, I don't have the option to stop, scroll through, select another title.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think if it'd be okay, if we could start with you, or actually let's start with RL and then me and then you. I'd like for us to go through just kind of like how it was back in the day for us with our rental experiences and like what stuck out to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, RL.
So, I mean, for me, the thing is that I grew up kind of here in Jolton, Tennessee, which is like 15 miles north of downtown Nashville. So in Nashville, yes, there were Blockbusters, there were rental stores all over the place. But in Jolton, where I live, there was only one store. And so, I can remember us going up there at times. I couldn't tell you how much my parents paid in rental fees and lost movie fees and all the good things. But, I think it's funny because, we shelter ourselves so much now as people from everything, and that's where all this comes about. And then it's hilarious because I can remember, Jesse, Monty, who used to run the video store in Jolton. I mean, literally, as a kid, I can remember sneaking past the little curtained area to find myself in an area I shouldn't be. But, it's like all of those things, we take all that stuff away from the kids now. And I can remember taking VCR tapes home with my friends and trying to hook up as many VCRs at once as I could to dub the movie so I could have a copy. All the things that mindless children should do whenever they're out renting movies. But no, I mean, you're right. When you go rent a movie and you pay $5 for it or however much back then, especially if your parents said you only get $5, if I can get 3 movies for $5, great. But we're watching all these. Like, I can remember a lot of horror films. One of the reasons why we support indie films so much is I can remember a lot of films making it to the shelf back then that were like surprisingly on the shelf. And so,
yeah, a lot of them, some were bad.
Yeah. But, I was committed, like, fix another bowl of popcorn, sit down, get them out and you're going to do it. And we're going to make it through here because you already spent your money. And so I think that's the thing that stands out to me the most. I can remember going and meet my friends at like Captain Video or, Blockbuster or wherever, and we might pick out 10 films to watch for the whole weekend. And now it's hard for me and JC to get together and watch one movie. It's just
the attention
you miss
span
all
thing
those things.
nuts.
Well, you miss all that. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't guess the word is camaraderie, but there's a lot of, equalness to like people sitting down and watching a movie. As much as that's not really personal time per se, you're at least sharing an experience together.
Yeah.
And, we've really taken that kind of away from everybody. And so I think that's probably what I miss the most. And that's kind of how I got started with it. So.
For me, really, it kind of piggybacks on the way that Sandy is right now. Like, I grew up, and at one point, my mother was working part-time at a video rental store. And I can remember, I don't know, around 5 or 6, it was called the Video Shop in a very, very small town called Waverly, Tennessee. And I would go in there, and they had a section that I thought was just incredible. Old wrestling VHS tapes.
Oh yes.
Every WrestleMania, every pay-per-view from and that's how you learned about all the characters. And then so I blew through all those. And then the horror section, which is what always attracted me, was because of all the crazy cover art. You had all these artists that spent all this time to try to get the movie to sell and to be rented. You had to have great cover art because that's what attracted folks. And I remember going through there, and what always stuck out to me was Sleepaway Camp. The chick that she had her backpack on her back. Yep. And she had the mask hanging out and the Freddy glove. And it was like, how are these two related? How does that fit together? And it's it's got to be tied in, right? It's got to be canon, right? And you pick it and you watch it and you're like, this had nothing to do with Freddy Krueger. But they got me. But for me, it was that she would rent a VCR on Friday from the shop, have 5 or 6 movies, and we would just binge those throughout the weekend. And it was an experience. It was great time. And it was time well spent. And it's some of the best time of my life. That's the reason I still collect movies to this day. I still buy VHS to this day. If there was a rental store around me, I would definitely still be a renter.
Yep.
But I basically am the rent guy,
I love it. I love the movies behind.
Yes. Awesome. I mean,
yeah.
There's something to be said about physical media. I don't think it's going away. If it was going away, you wouldn't have vinyl collectors. Cassette tapes are making a comeback. There are custom VHS makers out there that are putting newer films onto VHS with custom cover art that people are buying. So there's still a market for it. It's more of a niche, but you have your diehard collectors. So Sandy, what about you?
Oh yeah, no, I can tell you, I've talked about this a couple times. My aunt, she was actually not technically my aunt, but it was my mom's best friend. So I grew up with her being my aunt, and she had A1 Video, which was in the Dalles, Oregon, which is a tiny little town. And I can remember,
love the name.
and mom would bring things, and there would be some things from that behind the curtain area that mom would bring home that I wouldn't get to watch. But I remember that the first movie that I can recall watching was Poltergeist. And can I tell you, as a 6 or 7 year old watching that, I can remember it's one of my dad's favorite movies and being scared to death of that movie. And The Shining, of course, I mentioned it earlier. And I can tell you that I had my kids watch that with me many years later, and they're like, really, mom, this scared you? The graphics are so terrible, and the cinematography, oh my gosh, how could this have scared you? But it makes me laugh. And I can remember watching Freddy Krueger in the theater too, and doing that. I had an older brother who would drag me to the theater to watch wonderful movies that I shouldn't be watching, and it would scare the crap out of me.
Right.
But no, I can remember all kinds of different movies, and I remember watching Bambi and Grease in the drive-in. I mean, I remember those kind of things too.
God, the drive-in.
But I have to say, I'm very disappointed knowing that you like wrestling movies, that you're not wearing the Hulkamania headband or something.
Hold on just a second.
As we're doing this interview.
I mean, it's not on my person.
We're in the process with his belt.
Do you have the belt? Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. My manager that works with me, Dan, he is a huge movie. He and I always talk about the B horror movies, and we're always finding things and then telling each other like, oh my gosh, you got to watch this one, and you got to, and anyway, he's also a huge wrestling fan. So let me tell you, he's gonna be disappointed when I tell him about this conversation. You'll have to talk to him someday. But
absolutely, tell Dan to go check out our Behind the Horror series on YouTube. Shameless plug.
I will.
And that it is indie-based films. These are people out there putting their blood and sweat and tears into it. Shout out to Shari with Samara Entertainment, Midnight Releasing, for getting us hooked up with those awesome people. This last one that we watched called Hacksaw, we're interviewing the cast of that Saturday. Oh my God.
If you're
stuff he and I watch constantly, and we, like I said, we're always watching different things on Shudder or whatnot, and then like telling each other, hey, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. So
yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have all these questions, and I don't want to try to overlap all these same questions that you've probably been asked a billion times, but I got to know myself, like, how is the rental business?
So the rental business it's slow. I mean, especially, during the pandemic, we all felt that first hit. But we had those die-hard customers that we did curbside service for the first time ever. People would call in.
Nice.
Out over the phone and bring them out to him. And last April, looking at the numbers from last year, going, oh my gosh, we're not going to have any problem beating those numbers this year, because I think that we did maybe 1/10 of the business we would have typically done, and that's pretty normal. I mean, there's some restaurants and whatnot that did zero, so I feel pretty fortunate that we were able to make any money at all. And we have the nostalgia piece behind us. We have the support of the movie and all those things where other businesses don't have that, so we're very fortunate. And the last thing I'd ever do is complain about a slow month. But it definitely hurt. And, the rental business nowadays is nothing like it used to be. There are a lot of options out there for home entertainment. And, we were talking earlier about, flipping through things. People do get tired of too many choices. You start going through, and I know for me, I'll start going through Amazon Prime and going through the horror section or going through the comedies.
Horrible.
I watch. Yeah. And then by the
it's
time
so bombarding.
By the time you get to the end, you're like, okay, there was like maybe a couple things. Oh, I don't want to thumb all the way back to find that again. Right. And it's really hard. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about the thing that there's too many options out there. I mean, there's too many different services that you have to go through. And after a while, you just get kind of like, I don't want to go through anymore. I'll just watch this. And then you end up picking something that maybe you wouldn't have watched before. And sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. Sometimes that movie might be a gem that you wouldn't have watched normally. But other times you're like, okay, like you said, pop another bowl of popcorn. I'm committed now. Let me get through it.
Exactly.
But it's the rental business is not what it used to be at all. But we're still muddling through. We've always taken everything with stride and figured out a way to make it happen. And people ask me all the time, how did I feel when Netflix and Redbox and all that rolled out? And I was like, it was a little bit of a, take your breath away for a minute. What are we going to do? But we just never tried to compete with it. Instead, we were just like, okay, well, we've got this challenge now. How can we rise above it? How can we push forward? What can we do that they can't do? And that kind of stuff. And we mostly found that it was customer service. And I walked by the store when I came over here to do this interview, and Dan had put together a Munchies with movie night, and he had an end cap with a bunch of random 90 movies because he's a huge 90s fan too. And then he had like pretzels and all kinds of stuff up there and candy all the way around it, so somebody grab a movie and a munchie bag before they leave. And those are the kind of things that we found ourselves doing. Is just being very creative with the way we display the store.
I think that's the touch, the personal touch, that just like in the documentary people were talking about, that's what they want. That's what you're paying for. That's what that's really what the nostalgia, that's what you want to keep alive. I worked at a movie gallery for about, I don't know, 6-7 months, something like that. By far the best job I've ever had in my entire life. And being able to recommend films to people, and it was right there on the cusp of, we had the Red Box right down the street, right at the other end of the strip mall there near the Walmart. That hurt us a lot. We ended up switching to a plan where a customer could pay like so many dollars a month as a membership and rent as many movies as they wanted every month, kind of like an unlimited kind of service.
We have that.
But like still, there's something to be said about the physical involvement and be able to tell somebody something sucks. Hey, that sucks, but let me show you this over here. And then you're that guy. And then you're helping shape the tone of someone's palette as far as like what their film's, quality would be, as far as like what they like in film. So and then like one of the things I love from the documentary about you, Sandi, is like your level of commitment to the customer about what they're looking for. Like if you don't have it in your location, you go out and get it, or you order it.
I love the shopping trips. The shopping trips.
Like
that's one of our favorite things to do, by the way, is bargain hunt. So we're committed.
Horror hunt. We are on the lookout. There's several YouTubers I think that have actually visited your location. I think Cool Duder, Wet Movie One, Cinemassacre has been there. I don't know if you remember these guys or not, but I've watched their videos visiting your location, and it's like, if it means this much to these 3 individuals, like now of course everybody's come, and checked it out and stuff. Right. But like, I see, you going into Target and you're like, I get the new releases, you got to swing into Best Buy or whatever, and it's. I remember building my collection as a kid from going into the movie gallery, going into the Blockbuster, and like the
ones that are going away.
Yeah, the previously viewed titles and stuff like that. And it was just huge. What do you think? Let's see. Question for Sandi. Let's think. What's real popular right now? Since the documentary and people are coming in, what are people looking to rent?
Right now, by far, of course, the Marvel stuff is the most popular things in the store. With WandaVision and now Disney Plus rolling out, people are really into all the Marvel stuff, and DC and Godzilla, of course, this week. Everybody wanted Godzilla because the movie came out. Yes. But it's kind of all over the place, because people come in and they're looking for something that they can't find on the streaming service. When I'm talking our regular renters, they're coming in looking for things that maybe they've seen before, but they want to rewatch it. We have an Academy Award section up in the store right now because, of course, there's not a lot coming out, and so we pulled together a whole section of old Oscar winners that people may have forgotten about. So we have movies from the 30s all the way up to last year, so there's movies of all kinds for people to watch. When you were talking about me going out and buying movies, I want to give you my husband's phone number when we're done here, so you can call him and tell him how wonderful that is I do it, because he gets so irritated when we're on vacation. And I'm like, hey, look, there's movies over here. And we're stopping. He's like, we're on vacation. We're not doing Blockbuster today. We're not buying movies. And I'm like, whatever, if I can't fill the trunk full of movies before I get back. But no, we're very blessed too. We have people that are sending us stuff from all over the country, old DVDs and VHS that they have in their house that maybe they forgot about in their garage or whatnot.
Hold on one sec, Sandi. Are you still renting VHS?
We are not renting VHS.
Come on now.
Yeah, we're not renting VHS. We're selling them. But people love to support the store, so they just send us things.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
I know we just got an original Ghostbusters VHS with the original artwork that was probably one of the first prints.
Wow.
It's gorgeous. It's in new condition. We put that
Wow.
right into our display case right away. But no, and of course there's a few that I've snagged. Like I said earlier, I have The Shining and The Omen, and I have, of course, Harry Potter and a couple of other things. I found an Ewok movie. I was like, oh my God, the Ewok
Oh
movie.
Lord.
Well,
VHS.
Sandy, here's the thing. I mean, we're going to continue with the interview, but I'm going to go ahead and surprise you with something that we're going to send you personally to your location. That if you would here's what I want you to do. If you'll display it and take a picture of it and put it on Instagram and tag us in it, it would mean so much to us. Hold on one second. I want you to have this. Okay, hold on a second.
Okay. I will definitely do it.
Be afraid. Be afraid, Sandy.
Oh no.
Be very afraid. Oh Lord, he's digging really deep in there. I think one of the things that you said there, I mean, just having the option is I think that's what's cool about it for me is like, I'm a scroller. I've turned myself into a scroller. Like I'm one of those people that like, I need to be on a battery supply list for my remotes because I scroll so much. It's horrible. Like I hate it now. Like I just want to get rid of everything because I scroll so much.
Yeah.
I just love going in.
Do you have a Roku? Yes. So, like when you're scrolling with Roku and it starts to like give you the preview of the movie, it drives my husband nuts. When I'm flipping there.
It's so annoying.
Yeah. And it starts to do it and I'm flipping to the next one. And then it starts to do it and I'm flipping to the next one. And I'm like, stop doing that. So
it is very annoying.
I found it.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Sandy, this belongs at the Last Blockbuster. This is a sealed copy of the 1978 classic John Carpenter's Halloween Blockbuster Presents exclusive.
That is awesome. I will absolutely display that.
That's where it belongs.
That is cool.
Absolutely.
We're going to send this to you.
That is awesome. Awesome. I will definitely put it in the display case and we will take a picture and I'll put it over there. And yeah, that's awesome.
From our friendly friends at Brown Mint Horror.
That's it.
From Slashville, Tennessee.
Tennessee. So Sandy, we were just discussing like the scrolling and I feel like I'm probably going to have carpal tunnel surgery soon because I literally run my batteries out on my Roku, just flipping through stuff. I'll lay there sometimes for an hour and just do it. And I like when I get done, I'm like, I'm no closer to watching a movie than I was before. So for us, I mean, something that, I think JC that we might reach out to Shari about is possibly seeing if we can get some of our titles to Sandy somehow.
Oh, so some midnight releasing titles for sure.
Yep. See what we can do there. Help you fill the shelves a little bit, give you a little bit more of a selection. I think one of the things JC was saying earlier, sometimes you go into a movie store and you're like, okay, what am I going to get? The guy tells you should do this, this, or this. I'm one of those people that's like, what would you say is in comparison to this on the bad end? Yep. Like, I want to watch them both. Like, I want to see how bad is really bad and what they think is really bad. Because it might be really good on my part. I mean, we're definitely into indie films right now. So, like, I'll watch some and I'm like, it wasn't really great, but I loved it. Like, I thought it was, good content. So, what do you think about the movies that are coming out now? Obviously, there's, one of the other reasons we're supporting indie so much right now is just because they're on a level playing field with everybody else. Because no movies go into the theater, no movies jumping ahead of everybody else in the box office. So everybody's on a level playing field. We would just want them to have a chance to get their voice out there. Do you see more people renting indie films? And, are you getting a ton of indie films in? How's that looking as far as your shelves go?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially, the last 8 months when there hasn't been anything coming out, that's exactly what I've been buying. And I don't get as many copies of them because the market is still pretty small. There isn't as many people watching them as could be, but I've definitely seen an uptick in people wanting indie films, and people wanting things that they're not finding. The back wall is one thing. It's wonderful. Go through, find the newest Marvel movie, find the latest comedy in there with, Melissa McCartney in it, or whatever. I mean, those are great. I mean, everybody knows about those. But it's those B titles, those indie films, those things that people don't see. Those are the ones that people come in and really look for. And I like those too, because you're right. And it can be one of those things where you're like, oh my gosh, I just wasted 2 hours of my life watching this. Or it could be, I am so glad I watched that, even though the story was weak, the acting was great, or vice versa. And it's really fun. I'm a huge classic horror person, or classic movie in general. And
I knew you
love
were,
going back
Sandy.
watching. What's that?
I knew you had to be.
Oh, I know. But, I love going back and watching those movies, and you'll see, like Nightmare on Elm Street that's got, oh my gosh, Johnny Depp in it. Just totally blew a blank for a minute. But you go back and watch those early movies, and you see these actors who got their start in an indie film, or in a horror film, or in, some comedy that was about, drunk college students or something. And then suddenly now they're like a mainstream actor. And you're like, oh, I remember you when you were back here in this title.
Yeah, don't forget Johnny Depp, where you came from.
Where you started. Exactly. And, but people really do like that. And you were talking about that personal niche. I definitely have customers who come in and they know which one of us in the store is the person they want to talk to. And they know that if they walk up and talk to Dan, I'm going to tell them every B title out there. And when I say B title, I don't mean that they're not good movies. I just mean that they're not mainstream titles.
Right.
But he knows every title out there, whether it's a drama, a comedy, a horror movie, doesn't matter. He's going to know, and he invests time to watch it. And sometimes he'll tell me, oh, this is great. And I'll watch it and be like, what are you thinking? But they definitely know when they come in, and everybody knows that I have a very wide variety of palette of movies. I can be anything from Downton Abbey to The Shining to, Dirty Grandpa to, I have a wide variety of movies that I enjoy. And so people know when they come up and talk to me that they can usually get some kind of a recommendation. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. That personal touch is definitely what people love about coming in. And, on a side note, before your next question, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's giving me love right now and trying to reach out and talk to me, because it's gotten to the point, unfortunately, that the kids are screening all my calls at the store. So many phone calls and so many emails. I have 1,400 unopened emails right now that I'm trying to get through, and people are being so patient and so wonderful.
That's awesome.
While they get a hold of me. And I just want to give out, if I haven't responded to an email, if I haven't gotten a chance to tell you how much I appreciate it, just know that the store just loves and appreciates every positive thought, prayer, voicemail, email, whatever it is. We just appreciate it so much. So I didn't want to forget to say that.
Amen. Sandy's the real deal, guys. She's working her tail off to make sure this stays open, stays relevant, has a great staff. I mean, you can tell that from the documentary. I mean, you have people that care as much as you do. And that personal touch is, really what is going to be when you have celebrities, like Kevin Smith and people like this talking about, how great their experiences were at a rental location, and how it cultivated and molded them as individuals. Where else are you going to get that? You need that with people, with a physical location, with human interaction, mask or no mask. And I think that, based off how you conduct your business and take care of your people, there should be no problem, this location staying open. And we're planning a visit. So,
well, that's wonderful. Thank you. And yeah, it's one of those things where you love movies. I love movies. That's what we're talking about here. And people love to escape into a good movie and to forget about all the problems of the world, all the crazy news stories that are out there, and whatever, if you don't have a job at the moment, can't pay your electric bill, whatever, you can always escape into a movie. And everybody always has a fond memory of some sort of a video store or some place that they watched their first movie. And I love hearing those stories. I love talking to people and sharing that much more than driving around town trying to find my supplies. I mean, I do that because that's the labor of love that I have signed up for. But I love hearing the stories from people.
And what a great labor it is. I mean,
Well,
listen,
it's like, the nostalgia of it all is great. And you hear the actors and directors and everybody, talking about it on the film. And I think, one of the things that stands out to me is like, if you watch Kevin Smith's movies, I mean, obviously they're a very wide range of films, but it's hilarious because, just like JC said, I mean, that he's speaking of this video rental molding his mind to create said video. And, us as people and people who are creatures of habit, we have literally forced ourselves into hiding. And, where does your mind have room to grow when you're basically at home 24/7 or locked in your house, afraid of everything that's going on outside? And so, I think that's the one thing that stood out to me is like, these people are telling you how good this was for them to become the people that they are now. Now, is Kevin Smith or any of these other actors the best person in the world? I don't really know. But when it comes to being an individual and creating content, he's one of the best. And this is how he got there. And he told that story throughout the documentary. And I thought that was really, really cool. Who came to you guys about this film? Like, how'd that get started?
So Taylor Morden, the director, and he pretty much produced it, and Zeke Camp came on shortly after, but Taylor's the one that started it. So I can tell you that I've said it a few times now, that first interview where I'm sitting in the chair with really short hair was the very first interview I've ever done for anything like this. Like, I used to get out of every interview that I had to do for any reason. And Ken, the owner, called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to be out of town. This kid wants to make a movie about Blockbuster, so I need you to go do this interview." And I was like, "Oh, great." And Ken always is wonderful about calling me either an hour before or the night before, so I have no time to really think about it and figure a way out of it before I have to do it. But anyway, Taylor's the one that started it, and there was still probably a dozen stores out, across the country. We had stores in Texas and Alaska. We had several stores here in Oregon still when he first started it. So Taylor is a huge Blockbuster fan. He actually even tells me all the time how he applied for work at Blockbuster at one point and never got hired, which I'm like, I'm so sorry, especially now knowing how much of a movie fan he is. But anyway, no, Taylor's the one that started it. It was definitely his passion and his project. And then he kind of sucked me into it. And I can tell you that they did not tell me how much of a part of the movie I was going to be in until towards the end. Like, they would keep telling me, "Oh, you're the star of the movie." I'm like, yeah. You're just telling me that to get me to do the interview or to get me to help you with this or
but
that.
You
and
are.
Finally, they're like, "No, you're
Jamie Lee of the Last Blockbuster here.
Right.
Well, let me tell you that if they'd have told me that early on, I probably would have said absolutely not. When they told me they wanted to come to the house to film me getting ready for work, I was like, why? I'm like, nobody's going to want to see me in the morning, making my breakfast. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? Or putting the beanies in there. Oh, can I tell you, I have 500 beanies on order right now that I make by myself.
Holy crap.
When this hit, my son was monitoring because he's the one that runs the website. And he called me and said, "I've got about 200 orders." And I'm like, "Okay, I can handle that." Within 24 hours, it went to 600, and we couldn't get them off of there fast enough. And I've cut it down. I've made quite a bit the last couple of weeks, but anybody out there who ordered a beanie, be patient because it's going to take me a little while to get all those made.
God, isn't it awesome?
JC, when we edit this, we need to go on to her site and get a picture of that, insert it so we can
absolutely
throw that up there. We're going to try to keep you as busy as possible.
We need a beanie,
Sandy.
and we're going to tell everybody you need a beanie.
Well,
we'll be wearing it.
So there's a waiting list going right at the moment, but
we're pretty patient. We've been working on Brown Mat Horror for 10 years just to be able to get to this point. So we're patient. You might get
time for winter next year. You might get in time for fall.
We're
but
good.
You don't need it in the summertime anyway. But
right.
But no, it's going to take a little while, and I might be needing carpal tunnel surgery after this. We might be doing a GoFundMe thing, carpal tunnel surgery when we're all done. But no, this is it's definitely a love and something I enjoy, and Yeah, I don't know how I keep getting sucked into doing these extra things. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Because it's fun, Sandy.
It's movies.
So much fun.
It keeps me busy. So
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Well, I mean, I don't know if I have any more questions really, other than, what's next? Like, what's Sandy doing today and got planned for the Blockbuster location?
So right now, I'm trying to keep myself upright. We've got so many online orders, and people are pretty patient. We're getting a lot of emails. We're probably trying to get the shout out that we're about 2 weeks behind, because we literally pack them ourselves. So I'm over here. You saw me. I'm in my car. We've got people coming in to help out. Last year we had the Humane Society coming in with volunteers helping us, local community support.
Hold on a sec. What online orders are you packing for?
So we have a website. It's bendblockbuster.com. You can go on there and order and buy t-shirts, magnets, all kinds of stuff. Again, all of it's made here in Bend or through a Bend company. And people just go order stuff. And so we have about 4,000 orders at the moment, which is awesome.
God.
And
okay.
but again, we process them all ourselves. And so we don't have like a distribution warehouse. We're not Amazon. We're just a couple of local people. My mom and my dad have been in here. My husband was in here. Everybody's parents are helping out. I've got a couple Blockbuster moms that are saying, hey, whatever we can do, if you want me to help you make some beanies, I can help you make some beanies. And but anyway, we have a lot of love and support in our community. But anyway, so we're processing all of those orders right now, trying to get them out. That's kind of our focus, as well as the store is just packed full of people coming in, and people have been so wonderfully respectful. They're all wearing their masks and wanting to keep the store safe and respectful of each other, regardless of what your opinion is on whether or not we should be wearing one. Everybody's been super cool about it. But anyway, so hopefully, pandemic allowing, next fall we're hoping to have another block party. So we missed our anniversary last year in 2020 was our 20 years as a Blockbuster, 30 years as a company. And we missed being able to celebrate that. So we're hoping this fall we're going to get to celebrate it.
So this fall,
we're kind of pushing
a potential Blockbuster block party in Bend, Oregon. What goes on at that?
So we'll have, a big screen watching movies. We did this a couple years back, and we actually had a Blockbuster beer that was made for us by 10 Barrel Brewery, and it was meant for a charity event. They sold out pretty quick because that was the same summer that we became the last one in America. So of course, we had about 1,500 people here when we originally thought, a few hundred. But anyway, we'll watch movies. We'll, hopefully have some food carts, some local great stuff going on here. And it's just kind of a get together to be able to check out the store. Last time we watched Strange Brew. So we'll have to see what kind of a fun movie we can find for everybody to watch this year.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just get together and enjoy.
We're down.
Enjoy the simple stuff. Yeah.
So first off, we'll have the link for Ben Blockbuster in our bio, but the stuff that's on this, I'm sorry, y'all. I was trying to stay in the conversation, but the stuff that is on this website right here, holy moly. Like, dude, that beanie is fresh, by the way. The beanie is fresh.
Well,
that Blockbuster dress socks, JC. Blockbuster
I'm down.
Dress socks.
Okay.
Yep.
And they have the silly pints. The silly pints. The beer mugs that are like rubbery.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All up in
there.
there.
Those are made. That's Ben Silly Pint. That's the Ben company that makes those. That makes them for us. We have the little shot glasses too. The membership cards, people don't realize, like our membership cards now, it's a collector one, but we make them ourselves. I printed about 2,000 of those the other day. We have to cut them, we laminate them ourselves. So most of the stuff there, I mean, it really is somebody is here in Bend is putting that together for you. So
also
again,
have the Last Blockbuster movie posters, JC.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude.
And you can put a note in there and I'll sign it for you.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we've got people that'll put notes in there, and I've been signing all kinds of things. So I signed someone's hat the other day, and I'm like, why do you want to wear my signature on your head? But anyway, I've been having fun, taking lots of selfies. I got stopped in Costco the other day to take a selfie with a local person who saw me and had to tell people that they actually knew me, that I came into their Costco, and I'm like, okay. It's
We
so
know
funny
her.
because
Sandy's
the end of
really
the
trying
day-
to die down the fame here.
I know, it's so funny. When I go home at the end of the night and I put on my jammies and I, take off my makeup and my hair in a scrunchie and I start making beanies, watching some, horror movie or Downton Abbey or something on TV. I'm like, really, people, this is who you think you need to take a selfie with? I'm a grandma,
Absolutely.
for crying out loud.
Real folk. We love the real
That's it.
folk.
Yep.
Well, wow. What a pleasure it's been. Sandy,
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
this has been great. On behalf of RL and myself, we'd just like to thank you so much. We
Yes.
appreciate what you're doing, keeping rentals alive, keeping film alive, and keeping the nostalgia alive. We can't wait to come visit. We can't wait to see the sequel to Last Blockbuster, maybe Last Blockbuster 2, because
maybe it's they opened a second Blockbuster. Maybe it's the second Blockbuster. Who knows where we're going with this?
It would be nice to have more out there. So we're, get a little bit further away from being gone would be great.
Perfect.
So.
Well, you have all of our support here from Brown Mint.
Well, thank you.
From all of our followers. We had a lot of feedback from our Instagram. They all thought this was so great that we were getting the chance to speak with you today. Shari with Samara Entertainment, who has helped us out so much. She's actually coming through, and she's going to be stopping in to visit you. So be on the lookout for her. On behalf of
when we're done, I'll give you my number and you can give it to her because she can text me, let me know, and I'll make sure to meet her here.
Awesome.
Because I'm always here, but I may not be out in front of the store. But
Gotcha.
absolutely.
Yeah,
and be sure to tag us. So
yeah, absolutely. If you want to just you could send us that in an email and I'll forward it to her.
Okay.
It'd be great. We look forward to seeing you at the block party and making our visit for sure. On behalf of Brown Mint Horror, thank you so much. Sandy.
Oh, thank you.
Keep it going. We can't wait to talk to you again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
You have a great one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.